it was a private text message, group text message, but she's saying the same thing that you were saying.
Let me tell you, Democratic Socialists, something. Your hardest challenge is going to be convincing people that something that is simply just good for them is good for them. You live in a society where people have chronic illnesses and can't afford health care, and they don't want free health care. Like, you live in a system of people who can't afford to go to college, who don't want free education. You live in a system of broke people who actively fight and vote for rich people to not get taxed more. Like, how are you finna convince these people? Too many of the people who you are trying to fight to give the means of production don't want the means of production because they want to own the means of production, and they think that they will one day.
Amen, sister. Back in my day, without back in college, that would have been my girlfriend. That right there. That right there. That girl is exactly right. And unfortunately, and Marlon, remember I told you my tone's gonna shift a little bit. I'm trying not to claim it, but I'm so close to it, folks. Where it's like, y'all don't want no better. You don't want better. Because your actions show where your heart truly is. So you're not doing the bare minimum to impact the change that you say that you want. So, like, yes, she named some individual issues, but a lot of those I think can come down to, are we truly communicating with each other outside of a political bubble and focusing more on the needs? And if we will focus on the needs, then third parties could actually get a handhold. But the third party, the problem with them is they're still trying to be different by doing the same thing, right? They're still coming to the party saying, I'm not like the Republicans, I'm not like the Democrats, here's my policy positions. You just like them. You just a third party, man. But if we could get any of the parties, all of the parties, whatever, because these people exist in all of them, to be like, you know what I'm concerned about is I don't want anyone in this country over the age of 60 years old to be worried about their ability to have their basic food, shelter, medical needs. That's what I want. I'm not talking about Medicare for all. I'm not talking about Medicaid. I'm not talking about anything. I'm saying this is the need, and I want to help address that. And some of my solutions are going to sound conservative, and some of my solutions are going to sound liberal. But what we want to do is get there. And I don't think people really want to do it.
That has always been my point. And this is the deal with this country. Piggybacking off of what Thea said. I honestly, sorry, Tracy. I honestly don't give a damn what name you put to progressing this country and the people in this country. I just don't, I can't anymore. I can't. Here's the problem. Solve it. I don't care about, you named it this, so we shouldn't do it. You named it that, so we shouldn't do it. He was the president, so we shouldn't do it. He was the president, so we should not do it. Oh my God, who gives a fuck? The same I said this in I don't know if you saw it, Theas or Tracy. I said I looked at Head of State last night. You could not tell the difference between a movie that was made in 2008 and 2022. It was the same issues. It was the same problems. And we're still dealing with it.
Roll back to Distinguished Gentleman. Same Congress.
Yep, same.
You know what I'm saying?
It is so amazing that we all want to sit there. And I don't care if you're mad at me, because if you want to prove me wrong, prove me wrong. We all want the same thing, but we always want to know who brought it up first.
Not only that, we don't all want the same thing, because America's Achilles heel is we can never agree on who gets to share in the benefit.
Yep.
That right there is the Achilles heel that will always keep America from being able to move towards something better. Like, it's hit its apex. And I don't know that we have the capacity to get out of our own way. Because if you could go to the Republic, see, first of all, if you listen to my video, I was talking about, I think I said 7 things that we could work on to do things. Mm-hmm. You got to look at things for the issue at hand, right? Like, why are so many Republicans so angry that they would vote for Donald Trump, knowing that he will not do anything for them? But what he will do is punish the same people who have been ignoring them. And so they vote for that. Yep. So if you want to erode that base, why don't you actually, Democrats, actually put forth proposals that will help those people without having to make it so blatant? Oh, we're just doing this to see if they're we can call their bluff. No. Well, these people.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If I'm gonna do something I thought I'd never do, I'm about to defend the Democratic Party. Oh my gosh,
go for it.
Must be it. But the cows and jumped over the moon. They did have the tax credit, which helped a lot of American families.
For 2.5 months, yes. I was one of those families.
Yes.
but let me push back on that, Tracy. Not even at you, but at what happened. And what did the people say? What am I supposed to do with this little bit of?
I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that one either. I heard it was.
I didn't hear about that stupid $600 that they did that they think they ain't get, that they just because it came in 2 separate payments. I remember that.
You have so many. You look, and maybe it's me, because maybe I need to, like, you know, I have a very small circle, but I have a very large social where I listen to people that just, like, I'm not gonna say nothing, but please shut the F up. And that penetrates me a little more, but I've heard that so much. Because the first thing out of people's mouth on a lot of things that's good for them. 1, it's not enough. Or 2, what's the big deal? It ain't gonna last long.
And you forgot to ask the third question. How we gonna pay for it? That's always a question.
See, and that's like, see, like, this is something that I think would be excellent for a third party, and probably some of these third party people do have this position, but then they got all this other gobbledygook that sits up in there that gets on my nerves. But go to the corporate tax rate and you make it like substantial fines and penalties for moving money offshore into dark ways, right? Now, I'm not saying they can't go overseas. I'm saying that when they go overseas, you got to actually disclose what you're doing with the money overseas, because you might be doing a plant or doing something like that, because we're in a global economy. But if you just moving the money to hide it, there should be penalties and so forth to go with that. But that's on one side of it. On the other side, though, clean up these stupid tax laws. Bring down their rate of taxes. Eliminate all the loopholes so that now they don't have to pay millions of dollars to accountants to figure out how to play the game. They can just pay their little 12% and be done with it. But now we're getting the 12% from everybody, right? Do these simple things on the corporate side. On the personal side, find out what's a good tax rate. See, what people don't know is they go by their gut. They go by what they feel. not what they know. Because if they knew, they would know that we have some of the lowest tax rates in
the country.
History.
In history, sure do.
In history. And you still asking for a tax cut. Man, stop it. Look, how does the U.S. government make its money? Taxes. That's how it makes its money. It takes in tax money, and it don't even. And maybe they invested a little bit, but it all comes off of our taxes. If you are taking tax breaks, if you're doing tax reductions, you're cutting the revenue.
That one too, Parker. That one too.
Yeah.
We can't pay for things.
Yes, Parker. And you know who thought that, Parker? Did you put his comment back up there? Because I want to answer. You know who said that? Joe Manchin. You give tax credits to parents, they're going to spend their money on drugs.
Yeah, it's always the people who already ate talking about why somebody else shouldn't be hungry. Stop it.
And he calls himself a Democrat. He says he's on y'all team. He not on my team. He never have been on my team. Never gonna be on my team. But I don't want him on my team.
But Theus, I'm pushing back on what you said.
Yeah, let's
going with the people. Going with the people. But you keep voting these little rich MFers in.
And then complain.
How? Please explain to me.
Because they rather vote for Trump.
Rich all their freaking life. Tucker Carlson can explain to you who's been poor darn near all your life how you should live a better life.
But that's what the girl. Oh, go ahead, Theus.
I'm sorry, Tracy. Go ahead and try. You can say swing.
No, I was gonna say the girl in the TikTok video explained it better. They think that they're gonna hit the lottery, be rich, and they're gonna be the ones with all the wealth, and then they get the big old tax break. Chances of that happening are very rare, but okay, they won't stop believing. They think it's gonna be them. They're gonna be the ones that are filthy rich, living in the mansions. They haven't done anything to garner that life, but you can't tell them they're not going to be rich because they're going to be rich.
And here's the other thing. We live in an aspirational society. Our Constitution is aspirational. Our religion is aspirational. Everything is kicking the can down the road. Like, it's going to be so hilarious if after all these people die and it's over, that you get there and you don't go to heaven because God said you are already there. I gave you everything. All you had to do was praise me, take care of your brother and your sister, and take care of the land that I gave you. You already was there. People are going to trip out if that happens. I'm not trying to abuse anybody of their religion because whatever I say don't mean nothing no way. But when you stop and you look at this thing, people are so aspirational that they say, I may not attain this, but maybe my child can.
Oh, no, they think they are.
A lot of them do not. Give these people some credit.
Away.
Give these people some credit. These are hard-working people. Yeah. These are people who are well-meaning in their world. And in their world, they'll say, even if I couldn't achieve more than what I did, then perhaps my child can. Is that not what we say to ourselves on our side of the aisle? Why do we want to take care of the environment? So that our children would not be punished because of our stewardship of it. It's the same thing for them. They just got a different reason for it. Maybe they're looking at it from an economic angle. They're still aspirational. And then when they look at who has the money, who has the privilege, it looks like them. So they're saying, you know what? I zigged when I should have zagged, or I didn't get the right opportunity, or maybe if I'd applied myself a little bit more, I could have done it, but I didn't, but maybe my child can. And so they look at this and they say that wealth is still there and my child can achieve it if they just work hard for it. That's one of the biggest lies that has been sold to white America. And it's killing them. Literally, suicide, drug overdoses, the domestic abuses, all of these things is because they were sold a bill of goods. They were told if you just work hard, follow the rules, do right, that you too will inhabit the American dream. And it was a lie. And now they're starting to see it, and they're angry and they're scared because now for the first time, they're not going to have more land to give to their child or more of this to give to their child. And their child is having to compete with other poor people. That's why we have to get out of these bubbles, man. I operate in a bubble. I do. I'm starting to climb out of it because I'm starting to get sick of you